Alright, today we're going to change the wheel bearing. There's different types of wheel bearings, obviously, for you mechanics out there, most of the guys watching my channel. But for the people that are just looking at how to change a wheel bearing, there's different types of wheel bearings. There's wheel bearings, you got the bolts from the back that hold the wheel bearing on, and it comes with the like the ABS ring and everything, and it comes with the wire to attach for the ABS and everything. This type is this isn't even an ABS vehicle, it's a little bit of an older vehicle, and is a pressed in fit. So what we want to do is, first of all, you got to remove the wheel, which obviously we got the wheel off. This is not the original bolt. The original bolt, I mean nut, for the axle nut is going to use 30 millimeter 12 point. In this particular vehicle, it's just a Toyota. I mean, this spans like 20 years pretty much. It's almost the same tools you need. Anyways, 30 millimeter is the original one. For this one though, because it's an aftermarket, it's a 32 millimeter 6 point. So if you don't have an aftermarket, just get the 30 millimeter, or they got the set you can rent at AutoZone for like $80 something. So what we want to do is remove the tire, lift it up on a jack, and put jack stands. I watched a video recently of somebody sticking their head under a vehicle with just a jack, and that's really stupid to do. Don't do that. So anyways, we're going to take off the two 17 millimeter bolts back here. We're going to lift this up. We're going to hang it up here out of the way. We're going to remove the rotor, right, just to get started. And there's also under on this side where the tie rod end is, there's a 17 millimeter nut with a cotter pin. So we're going to take the cotter pin out. We're going to do all that. So it's pretty simple. We're going to use a slide hammer. There's different tools, different methods you can use. In this case, I'm just going to use a slide hammer after I take this stuff off. And I'll probably just leave everything connected at the moment. After I remove this, I'll take this nut off and I'll hook up the slide hammer and show you that. So 17 millimeter 2 bolts to hold the bracket on. I'm going to remove that. I'm going to pull this off. I'm going to remove that nut real quick, and we'll come back. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to use a slide hammer, and we're going to pull it right here. And what we're going to end up with is something like this. This is from a previous vehicle. This is the hub. I changed the hub and the bearing. Actually, this hub is still good in case something gets damaged right here. The part of the race, which is part of the bearing, is left on here. What I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to nick that off. I'm probably just going to use like a Dremel with a blade, cut across here, hit it with a punch and a chisel. Some people use like a puller that grabs here, but there's other videos where you can watch where you can just pull it off like this. Some people use a torch. There's many different ways. These are cheap enough where you could just buy one of these, the hub. Anyways, that's what we're going to be left with. Me personally, right now, what I'm going to use is just a Dremel. I'm just going to cut across here, hit it with a chisel. That's all I'm going to do. And so what we want to do is, I got my slide hammer kit. We're going to put this on here. These nuts are new. I pulled the caliper with the caliper bracket off. Pulled this off. This usually pops right off. I've recently had this removed because I did engine and transmission and did all kinds of work on this vehicle. So everything's like you're going to see, you know, I put some stuff right there. But if it doesn't come off easily, there's a bolt that goes right here. You can plug it in here and it'll pop it right off. So just in case, I'll put that back. And obviously I still haven't staked back the axle nut, so I popped that right off. And now where we're at, we're going to put this attachment This is my attachment that I use. I'm not going to use the nuts, the wheel nuts that hold the tires on. I'm just going to use these ones right here. So whenever you're doing this job, you could just get some extra wheel nuts. Right. Here's another hub. This is the hub. When we pull it off, it's going to look like this. This is the race. This is part of the bearing. I just have this extra laying around in case I need one of these studs or whatever. What I'm going to do to take this off, there's different methods. Some people use a torch, some people use grinding disc, whatever. I'm just going to use a Dremel, cut right here, and then hit it with a hammer and a chisel. That's all I'm going to do. I'll probably do that off camera. There's pullers. You use pullers to get right there. In some videos, they'll grind here so they could get a puller on there and pull it off. Now make sure your axle, I know this axle's not stuck in there, but if your axle's welded in there because of rust, you want to get the axle out first. I know mine's not, so it's not going to be a problem. Make sure you thread it all the way. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? This nut on the back side. It doesn't mess up the threads as much. So now the nuts on the back holding it to help support it to give it more threads. So watch your ears. It might get loud. Make sure it's on there. Make sure that axle is nice and loose, which in this case it is. If it's not, you're going to have to loosen everything else. Hit the axle in there and make it move. I put my gloves on real quick. Starting to hurt my hand. It's coming. Might be a little harder because the axle's in there. But it's coming. A couple more hits. I probably should have took the axle out. I didn't want to take it out though, because I didn't want to disconnect all these bolts. It'll come out right now though. Oh shit. It's coming. You guys gonna make fun of me, ain't you? That's alright. I got a hub grappler, hub tamer. It ain't here though. Fucking shit. Yours was weird. So I just went on there and cut it sideways. The race right here. Got a chisel, hit it, pried it up, knocked it right off, sanded it down. Now it's good to go. Next thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna remove, these are I believe 22 millimeter. Let me double check for you real quick. In this case actually, this is yeah, 22 millimeter. So I'm gonna take those off, 22, 22, the 17, and then the 3 17s that are down here, 17, 17, 17. I'm gonna remove the whole thing. I'm gonna remove the snap ring. Let me pull that off. We'll get to the snap ring. So we got a snap ring in here because we're gonna push the bearing out this way, and we're not using a press for this. We're just using pretty much simple hand tools. And this is just a cheap Harbor Freight snap ring set. And we do have a brand new snap-on set available. We'll just use this just to show it works. Unless it doesn't. It'll work. We'll just work this out. That's about the position it was in. Alright. Flathead screwdriver. So next thing I'm gonna do is flip it over. We gotta hit it out this way. Just get some wood right here. is coming out. We'll just continue it all the way like that. If you got a press, use a press. In this case, we're just doing a ghetto status. What we got. I'm going to continue doing this. Off camera, pop it out. Now I'll come back to where I'm showing it. You just keep hitting it. And this kit right here is from a Harbor Freight kit, bearing race kit. Actually, yeah, bearing race kit, I believe. I'm gonna keep doing this until it pops out. I'll come back. Alright, so after pulling out the snap ring, this is going in literally this way. Alright, it's going in here, but it's pressed in there. Okay? And there's a lip right here, so you can't really get anything bigger than the actual. You can't really get anything that fits around the actual, this lip right here. So this right here fits perfectly right here. Right, so what I did was, this fits in here perfectly, right? And this is part of a, not the bearing race kit, but the bearing puller kit from, it's just Harbor Freight kit. So this goes in there, this goes in here like this. You want to support it, and I give it a nice good whack with a hammer, a couple good whacks, boom, it pops right out, just like that. So that comes out like that. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to check the new bearing against the old bearing, and it looks good. Check the thickness, and it looks good. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean the interior of this real good with some sandpaper. See how it's rusted a little bit? I'm going to clean it real good with some sandpaper. I'm going to pick it out with a pick. Area right here, and what I'm gonna do after I clean it with some sandpaper, we're talking about finer than 100 and I would say 150 grit, maybe 200 plus grit. Just clean it out with some sandpaper, and then all the areas that it's gonna sit in, clean it out real good. Make sure you clean everything out real good. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put some anti-seize in there. Just some oil or grease or anything that makes it slide in properly. Make sure there's no burrs, make sure no raised metal or anything like that to prevent it from going in there properly, and then we'll come back. Alright, so this is the back side, this is the front side, right? So this obviously doesn't go in here, this goes from the back side. So let's flip it over. I got it all sanded down on the inside, nice and clean. Okay. So what we're going to do is, this goes in here. I got it lubed also with some anti-seize. So what we'll do is, this fits on here perfectly. This is from my kit. Make sure it goes in there properly, okay? So what we're going to do is, that's going to go on the back side. This is going on the front side. This is going to push off of here. Alright, so what we're going to do is, I lube this up, this runs through here, this, threaded from this end, this is a 1 1/4 inch, and the other one is 1 1/16. So what I'm going to do, set this up real quick. sorry. Make sure this is set up right. Okay. Make sure this is going to push in correctly. Right here. Without problem. Okay. Let's get it right here. That's nice and tight. What I'm just going to do is center this. We'll run it down. Right here. Ready? Back it off a little. Make sure it's situated in there properly. Make sure it's going in there all the way. See, it's sitting in there properly. So the back's in there good. We'll just hit a couple more times, make sure it goes in there right. All right. Listen to the noise. Done. You hear that? That's done. Put in reverse. As long as that snap ring fits in there, we're good to go. Pull this out. Let's put the snap ring in there. You can see the groove right here. The groove's there. It's accessible. We could get it. Moves around nice and smooth. We're good to go. Now we got to put this on right here. So what we're going to do, we'll lube this up a little bit. We'll come back right now once I find the parts I need. Because it fits right over the center of the bearing right there, so it doesn't push the bearing out, right? So I'll get that. I'll put it right there. Situate this straight. Make sure it's going in there right. I sanded it down. I cleaned it up. This is going to push off of here. I can push it off of here like that, that's fine. So, take this one out, put this one in, put this one all the way through, like this. Okay, this will go right here. Everything's nice and lubed. See, this one's pushing in the center right here. Make sure I look. Make sure it's good in the center right here. Center. You want to make sure it's right in the center. Just like that. Okay. And make sure it's right in the center while you're doing it. Okay. Start it off. Make sure it's right in the center. Right there. Boom. Right in the center. So I'll show you. This is going to pull this in. You're going to see this go in. So we'll hold this. You're going to see it move in. I put it on reverse. I messed up. Make sure this is right. Right in the center. It's my fault. I messed that up. Make sure I'm good and good. Forward. Hold it. You're going to watch this go in. Listen to the noise. Hear that noise? Change the noise. We're done. Let's make sure this is going smoothly. Take it off before we do anything. Sounds good. Pull these off. Take a listen. Nice and smooth. Everything's in there. That's snapped into place. This moves nice and smooth. So we needed no press. Nice and good. We'll wipe this all off. We're going to put everything back, and that's all you need to know. It's the same reverse as removal, but we didn't need any press, like I said, just hammers and a couple Harbor Freight tools. We're good to go. Thanks for watching. Comment, rate, and subscribe.